Well, good evening. Would like to welcome you to the the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting for October 10th, 2023. I'm April Hilbrick, the city secretary. This board currently does not have a chair, so I'm going to begin the meeting for them. And the first order of business is citizens communication, which we do have one paper turned in from Mr. Michael Vondero. If you'll step to the mic, please, sir.
Thank you, April.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Parks and Commission. My name is Michael Vondero. I live at 2204 East North Street. I want to congratulate Mike Eaton for being the intern director until they can find someone else, filling in, because he don't get paid no extra for that, And just telling the truth, the pond looked really good, and the dog park looked really good. But and most of the parks, they're very nice and stuff, but one park is an eyesore, and it's Queen City Park. You've heard about the high-intensity drug trafficking arrests. 4 of the 7 arrests was on doing narcotics, and that was last December. And, once arrest takes place, it might take 2 years to start prosecuting because the DA's got lots of cases. But there's just a big group of bad people that's there, and they have like a dozen large dogs running all over the place. People do live at the park, and just recently someone deceased, in the Queen City Park. I have nothing against him. He never caused any problems. He was a nice, humble man, but it's kind of dangerous with all this stuff going on and loose dogs running around. I've never seen a person use a leash, and we had someone get bit by a dog and had to go to the hospital, and no one's enforcing the leash law, and it's getting so bad that, I think they just need to shut it down, or either get a full-time police officer just to work Queen City Park. It's zone 200, and it's the only zone where they don't have a neighborhood watch, and no one's interested in doing that. And I know a little about this because I usually eat at Christ Kitchen like once a week, and people on the commission could go there like once a month at Christ Kitchen just to eat, and look around and see what's going on. And I bet you there's people in the commission that probably never seen Queen City Park, but there's a lot of activity going on, and I don't mean good activity. And it got so bad they had to take the swing set down and remove the slides and remove the barbecue pits because people were doing everything but using it for stuff for kids. And there's a basketball court. I've never seen anyone do it. I would like them just to demolish the whole park and use it like for the volunteer workers, for parking spots and stuff like that. And the security is better at Christ Kitchen. They do have law enforcement working there now, because of the shooting and stuff like that. I haven't been back, since the shooting, but it's just out of control, and I don't want to discuss publicly everything, but you do got stuff you can read and stuff. I put at
Yes,
and they did have a first responders get together at Christ Kitchen last Tuesday, and I do appreciate that. But I do have very grave concerns about the safety, because I do not feel, Queen City Park is a safe place to be. And a bunch of bad groups of people, they come to Christ Kitchen and they stir up problems, and they're very disrespectful. And this has been going on the last 20 years. This is nothing new, but you can only sweep it underneath the rug so many times, and Jesus going to see that lump in that rug and do something. Thanks, and have a good evening.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Vondero. Appreciate it. So at this time, we're going to actually move down in the agenda. Instead of doing C1, the approval of minutes, we're going to actually do D1, the business of swearing in the new commissioners. We have 2 of the new commissioners here in attendance.
April, I don't know if there's anybody else.
I think Jessica asked her already.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. So, so we have 2 new commissioners, so up to you who wants to go first, and we'll step to the front here and do the swearing in. Okay, Mr. Fisk. So I, and state your name,
I, Glenda Mickle,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of Office of Parks and Recreation Commissioner for the City of Victoria
of Officer of Parks and Recreation Committee for Victoria
and of the state of Texas,
and of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state.
so help me God.
All right, thank you. All righty. Is there?
You didn't realize what you're signing up for?
Yeah.
Repeat after me. I, state your name, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of Office of Parks and Recreation Commissioner for the City of Victoria and of the state of Texas, will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God. I'll get you to sign everything at the end. Okay, thank you. So the next order of business, we're still going to skip the minutes and go down to D2, which is the election of officers. So we'll take nominations from the floor. If anyone wants to nominate someone else, we need a chairman and a vice chairman. So,
I'm going to nominate Miss Laurie.
Ms. Etter?
I'll second that.
I third it.
Do you accept that nomination?
I
ma'am?
do, I accept
Okay.
the nomination.
So they're nominating you for chair, so we can vote on that. So now that we have a first and a second, so all those in favor say aye,
Aye.
Aye.
and those opposed, same sign. So that's unanimous. So now we need a vice chair.
Nominate Brian.
I second that.
Okay. Mr. Billingsley, do you accept that nomination?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so same thing, we'll need a vote on that now that we have a first and second. So all of those in favor say aye,
Aye.
and those opposed, same sign. So, Ms. Etter, it is your meeting. So you just need to go back and do the minutes and then finish out the
Okay.
reports. And Mr. Bondurant left that.
Okay, thank you. So I wanted to say thank you all for putting your trust in me to lead you in this next year or so as your chairman for the Parks and Rec Commission. I really do appreciate it, and I look forward to the new members. I know we're missing one more, and I know it's going to be a great year for all of us. We're missing two more. I wanted to do just a tiny bit of housekeeping for the new commissioners that are on board, and that has to do with the attendance. We ran into some problems over the past year. And so if staff could tell us again what the rules around attendance are, I think that would be helpful.
Yes, I believe, Madam Chair, that commissioners are allowed to miss 2 meetings. I think it's two or three consecutive meetings, but we checking the, to make sure.
The bylaws.
Yeah. So, go ahead, Jessica.
I did send a PDF to all of the new members.
Good.
It has the bylaws, the rules and regulations. I sent that to them about a week or two ago.
Thank you, thank you. So just a reminder, so because of the past, so you get 3 excused absences. As always, if you can't make it, please let Jessica know. It's very important that we make a quorum so that we can continue on with our Parks and Rec
Yes, and I
business.
just checked the bylaws, and it is 3 consecutive meetings.
Thank you. And then the second thing too is Jessica normally, on a regular basis, sends out the meeting minutes and the agenda the Friday before the meeting. And she's done a really good job at that, so please make sure, so please be aware of it on the Friday before our meetings, to look for that and get back to her. She asked each of us to just respond back if you're gonna be there or not, again, so that we know if we've got a quorum. And it's just a good way to stay in touch. So, that's kind of the 2 housekeeping things I think that I want everybody to be aware of. Any questions on that? Comments?
Let me just ask a question. On the meeting minutes, is it 3 business days? or 3 days?
It has to be,
It's in the bylaws.
Well, state law for Open Meetings Act requires that we post an agenda 72 hours before the meeting.
Okay, all right,
That's a state regulation.
all right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So something else that I'd like to bring up for the new members is we've gone through a pretty rigorous, over the last couple of years, planning, and there's some books. And I wonder if you guys might have a couple of those extra books. There's a whole lot to it. I mean, they're like 100-page books, but a lot of the stuff that we refer to going back and talking about the dog park, or, you know, the duck pond wasn't so much in there, but a lot of the different parks goes back to a lot of the work that the commission, even before our time, has put into planning the next 10 years of what the city looks like with Parks and Rec and the Transportation Master Plan and a lot of the master planning that's gone on over the past, 2 years or so. So I'd like to recommend if the city or if Parks and Rec has a couple of those books
Yes.
lying around, that we might share those with the new members so that they can see some of the work that's gone on and look at some of the plans that we've proposed for the park.
Yes, we do have extra books or the master plan, and we will make sure we get it to you. Also, if you want to see it, you can always go on the parks website. There's a link to the master plan as well.
Okay,
Let me say too, Madam Chair, that we do plan to hold orientation for the new board members, and we will email you to schedule that. But essentially, it goes over the department, the staffing, and the programs that we have, as well as the bylaws and so forth. So we will be holding that orientation fairly soon.
That'd be great. That's a great idea. Thank you. All right, if there's nothing else, then let's move to item C1, the adoption of the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the minutes are approved. And moving down to item D3, the sports facility assessment.
Yes, Madam Chair, Alex Agredo will make this presentation, and let me help him get set up.
Click on that button right there. There's a projector button and a web button. If you click it over to, right here, click this. Oh, turn your screen to, that way you don't have to crane your neck and turn around. Look at that. Thank you.
Projector, yeah, so this is basically the website, like the agenda, and this is the projector once they start. Yeah. Good. I know that. It took me a long
3 or
time to
4
figure it
meetings
out.
to figure that out.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Good evening, Parks Commission.
Hey, Alex.
good evening.
Just to relate, like Mike said, my name's Alexander Weddle. I'm the sports tourism manager, and what I'll be going over today is the presentation of what we're going to be presenting to City Council next Tuesday regarding the sports facilities company's design and research and feasibility study that they've been conducting for the past year with them. So we're going to jump right into it. So we'll go over the company, the process, the facility, opinion costs, potential fundings, and there's some key insights as well. So just some information about the company, if you just want to scan through that real quick.
I'll have this.
And then SFC, this is all the facilities that they manage or been a part of, and you can see there's quite a bit in Texas. Hopefully we could be on that list as well. And they're a concept, they call it concept to concrete. So this is kind of the process of what you go through. It usually takes between 1 to 3 years, just depending on how fast things get rolling. So that's their concept they got there. And then it's kind of the process of their process overview. So we'll kind of be going over what the process overview is. You could take a minute to read those bullets, but essentially it's to capitalize on the sports tourism boom that is currently happening in the United States, but it's been happening for the past 3 decades or so. I know a lot of us are aware of sports, youth sports. So we want to kind of capitalize on that, not just to help sports tourism, but also to give back to the local community and the sports organizations that we serve throughout the city. So offering better facilities, offering better fields, offering better spaces where they could come and play, they could come and exercise. So it's just not for a sports tourism aspect, which is great for the city, but also for our community members who live here and for their children, for their grandchildren. So kind of look at these facilities as a long-term process that we could serve the community for years to come. And some of the facilities that they analyzed was the adult sports complex, the youth sports complex, the community center arena, Riverside Soccer Complex, the Riverside Golf Course, and Riverside Stadium. So like I said, the factors are the ability to attract and maintain sports tournaments here, tourism, capitalize on the sports tourism boom, but also, you know, giving our community new facilities that they could have for years to come. So FFC prioritized a high priority was the adult sports complex. So if y'all don't know where that one's located, that is located right next to the community center over there on North Street. So it's a complex it's a little rundown. It's probably they made it a high priority because it's a complex that has not had anything done to it, probably just putting Band-Aids and ripping it off over the years. When I was out there, I get a lot of, you know, comments from the players that say, this field hasn't been redone or touched up since I was a teenager, and they're about 45 now, so probably late 70s, early 80s. So I think that facility is due for a makeover, not just ripping off the Band-Aid and just going as that. So we get a lot of feedback from the community on that specific facility because it's not a facility that's not really used. It's a facility that's probably used 9, 10, 11 months out of the year. So it's a high traffic facility. And when we have tournaments there from the youth sports complex that rolls over, when it's a big tournament, we got to use the 4 extra fields. We do get some complaints that the bathrooms are not up to par. The facility is kind of an eyesore. So, I mean, only when we had a girls softball tournament there with over 60 teams, there's only 2 women's stalls. So I think you can see how that's a problem there. And then on the men's bathroom side, kind of a leak. You know, our maintenance team does the best as they can to fix it. But like I said, it's so old, they fix it as they can, and it's going to happen again. So that's their main high priority, along with the youth sports complex as well, just kind of touching up on that sports complex. And then medium priority, indoor facility, the Riverside Soccer Complex, and then, as you can see, low priority, the golf course and the Riverside Stadium as well.
Let me understand something. So the adult sports complex, just want to understand, those are the 2 Little League fields that are across the street?
No, sir, those are, it's right next to, so you got the community center, you got the parking lot.
Oh, okay.
And it's those 4 big fields. They're adult-sized fields. So right next to that little small church.
Right, it's Ben Jordan and North Street. As you turn on North Street, those are the adult sports that's the adult sports complex.
Understood.
And Alex, they said that the Riverside Golf Course and Stadium were low priority because they're already in good shape?
Yeah, they're in better shape than the other facilities that they analyzed, but also those, I think on Riverside Stadium, just being it due to a floodplain, but also, you know, it does have turf field as a facility that is, you know, pretty taken well care of, but it is something that we are still looking into putting resource into it, especially, you know, the press box, the stands, the locker room. So even though it's low priority for them, it's still more of a high priority on our list because it is something that's very frowned upon by the community. It's very loved. It's been here for 76 years now. So we want to continue to keep up with it, you know, still have that historical look, but give it the modern update so it can last hopefully another 76 years.
Gotcha. So this is kind of like where they see the stuff that needs the most work is the highest priority, not necessarily what the value that it provides
That's
to the
correct.
community.
That's correct, yes, sir.
That's correct.
So like I said, we'll go over mostly the adult sports complex along with the youth sports complex. And then see at the bottom, even though they're not the priority right now, hopefully those could be future opportunities. So you got a layout of what of the facility. So number 1 is the youth sports complex. Number 2 is the community center along with those community center fields right there. And then across, number 3 is the adult sports complex, the 4 larger adult fields. So on what they propose for the adult sports complex, we still want to keep the 4 adult fields because that helps not just with tournaments, but that also helps with our local adult softball and kickball league that we currently host Monday through Thursday for fall, summer, and spring. So as you can see here, they propose 4 of those large fields and then adding 2 additional youth baseball, softball fields. So that gives you a total of 6 fields, 4 large fields, adult-sized fields, but with portable mounds and portable fencing, they could be used also for youth fields. So that gives us 6 additional fields. As you can see, they are made with synthetic turf, so that allows for more flexibility in sports. So that allows us to play adult softball, youth baseball, high school baseball, flag football, soccer. So with these 6 extra fields that they're giving us, proposing to us, now we could offer 6 more soccer fields, which could also translate to flag football. Now we can have more flag football leagues, flag football tournaments to offer to the community.
Right.
And along with the adult softball and youth softball and baseball as well.
And one thing that the company has told us is that if we want to attract more tournaments, having turf fields is very valuable because you don't need to cancel games because of the weather. So having turf fields allows you to continue if the weather is bad in terms of rain and so forth.
I have a question, to kind of go back or pause for a minute. So where is SFC and the city in this process? So are these just high-level recommendations at this time? Have user groups been, have we circled back to user groups and talked about these recommendations? And where does cost come into play with this yet?
So in terms of where we are, so SFC started this process almost a year ago. So at the beginning, after council approved after we approved the contract, SFC staff came to Victoria and they met with focus group. They had focus groups with stakeholders. So they met with the tournament chairs, all types of stakeholders in the community. And then they went back and did a market analysis. And the next step for them is to present the findings, like Alex is doing now, to City Council on the 17th. So again, City Council can give directions as to what's next, but that's the next step in the process, is to present the findings to Council and just to get feedback from Council on the 17th. But we want to get your feedback now, so that's why we're presenting it to you today.
Thank you for the clarification.
Is this similar to the presentation we had, a few months ago? Where they were talking about, I guess that was the same company? Remember do y'all remember that? They were proposing like spending $40 or $50 million or something along those lines.
No, they haven't. They've only been to Victoria once.
Sorry.
That's fine.
So this is an example of what the field could look like, a layout. I believe this one is in their Sandusky, Ohio area, if I'm not mistaken, but that's one of the potential layouts, what it could look like. So as mentioned, it is synthetic turf, so the lines already come chalk, so that's less maintenance and turfing, aligning the fields for our maintenance team, so the fields are ready to go. And as Mike kind of highlighted, when the weather rains, we don't have to cancel games or tournaments, just kind of let it wait for the weather to pass, and we just have a 15 to 20-minute delay at most, hopefully, so we can still keep the tournament.
But this
Yeah.
is one field, what we're looking at right here. This
Yes,
would
ma'am.
be one
That-
field.
that's one field.
We-
Yes, ma'am.
We talked about 4 or whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's one proposal, and there's the next picture. So that's kind of the layout, what it looks like with the baseball/softball diamond, along with the soccer field kind of chalked with it as well. And then the one on the right, you could actually do 2 youth fields in one field as well. So the next picture you see will show that. So this one is the same size concept, but also offers 2 youth fields on one big size field.
There was a multi-purpose field.
I'm
So
guessing,
this gives us more flexibility, adaptability to host bigger tournaments, have more teams to practice, to do different sports and all that. And again, just another layout of it.
Have they come up with an idea of what the price would be for that kind of field?
That's coming.
That's right here.
Okay.
So just on the estimated of the turf fields, of the, as you can see here, equipment, fixtures, soft costs, so all that, that's what they approximately think these 6 fields will cost.
For 6 fields? Brandy?
Yes, sir, that'd be for the 6 total fields, for the 4 adult-sized fields, and then the 2 youth smaller fields as well.
Right.
The turf included in the field and sports equipment?
No, I think the turf, if I believe, yeah, it should be the field and sports. So the turf is probably half of that. So the turf is probably about at
That's
least
why
5.5
Yes,
million.
the most expensive part is the turf. From what I understand, it's costing over $1 million to turf a soccer field.
Wow.
and so how does that?
That's crazy.
How does our maintenance look going forward on this? Because I imagine that the maintenance on a turf field is significantly less than the maintenance on a, grass and dirt field. So is that, do they calculate any cost of savings on maintenance into this, or?
Yes, so I don't know, when Jason was here, y'all got the market feasibility study that they did?
That's what I was
the
referring
big-
to,
the
the
big
market
one.
feasibility study, yes.
On that one, they show a graph compared to natural grass to turf. So up front, you're probably gonna pay more for the turf, but after about a 10-year process, you save close to $300,000 compared to doing turf and grass. So that's the cost of money, but that doesn't put in perspective the man hours that we save from prepping the fields, having to go out there, like Mike mentioned, when it rains, now they gotta go out there and have a staff on site to make sure to redo the fields,
You gotta re-chalk them,
re-chalk them, you
mow
gotta- so
them,
when the
yeah.
you still gotta maintenance the turf, make sure to go in there and brush it, fill it, but it's less tedious on the maintenance crew to go in there and chalk the fields, mow the grass every day or every week. So it does save a lot of man hours and time on prepping just one field. So that allows them to do other projects that we get through to the park.
So that 300,000 in savings is per field or for the whole complex?
I think it was for the whole complex, or
Okay.
no, per field, I'm sorry.
think it's
They
per
just-
field.
They just did that one per field.
So $300,000 over
Per
10
field,
years per
yes.
field, okay.
I think the other consideration, because I was a part of the SFC on stakeholder meetings, when everybody came in, we had a day-long visit with them, and while artificial turf is so much more expensive in the future cost of what it can bring to the community. The problem that we're having now in bringing large leagues and large events in is that because we're on the coast and rain, so we get rained out. So you're bringing all these families in for these events, and if they start to see rain, then they're not gonna come, A, or B, they're here, and because of the grass fields, they're inundated and the water sits, and so the weekend is shot. With the turf field, it gives us a greater advantage to keep that play and keep going, because as we all know, we'll experience some really heavy, this last week, heavy downpour for an hour, and then the sun's shining and, going back. So, in the long-term cost of what kind of tourism it can bring into the city and how it can better serve the city, it's, I check it up in the win column, so.
And the way I understand it is there's some tournaments that won't even look at us if we don't have turf fields, right?
Exactly.
That's
When
correct.
I've been making, calls, emails, speaking to some tournament directors, that's what, some know where Victoria is, some don't, tell them our location, and the first thing they ask is, do you have turf fields? No. Okay, and well, I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Doesn't really happen. One tournament director that has his Midnight Madness tournament here, the one that has the big tournament, he was talking to me, he goes, man, Alex, y'all's youth complex is great, a couple touch-ups here and there, but if you had turf fields, you'll be way more attractive. He goes, that's why Portland, Texas, even though they only got 5 fields compared to our 12, a lot of teams like going down to Portland because they play on all synthetic turf. If the weather, like Lori just mentioned, if it starts to rain, they're only going to have maybe a 20-minute delay rather than canceling the whole tournament. Now you got families who travel, booked hotels, and now they're going, well, we just spent all our money and the tournament got canceled. So that's kind of from a customer aspect of it, a tourism aspect, that's very beneficial for us in the long run.
Well, the worst thing is for the tournament director having to refund
Refund them, yeah.
the teams, and that's not a good thing for the tournament director.
And as mentioned, like our adult softball leagues, last week it rained. There was one day it rained. It didn't rain too hard on that side of town, but it rained just enough on the field, maybe 10 minutes or so. But it held the water, so they had to cancel the games because it was holding water on it. Even though the fields looked pretty good from far away, if we had the turf, it would have just went whoop. But so they had to cancel that game, and some of the teams got upset because it looks like you could play on it, but there's some fields that are holding quite a bit of water, so they got to cancel the games just due to that, just due to their holding the water.
One more question, Alex. So
Yes.
this cost right here, does this include improvements to the existing facilities, i.e. the bathrooms?
I believe so. I think on the cost of this, it's the furniture, the fixtures, and equipment.
So I guess another way to ask, this 17 million for the adult sports complex would be to upgrade for 6 new fields and upgrade the existing facilities to bring that, to kind of, I guess, to improve the bathrooms,
Yeah, so
the shade structures, the furniture, that kind of thing?
So I'll go ahead and pass this up to you if you want to just check this out. This has the total cost of the 17 million.
I'm passing it off to him. I can't read that.
So the intent is to make that facility tournament ready. The bathrooms, everything prepared to accommodate quality tournaments. Again, the goal is to make Victoria a destination city, and having quality facilities will help us do that. So the money, the 17 million, will include improvements to all of the above.
It's in their bathrooms. They also, promote batting cages, stuff like that to enhance the facility as well. Because currently at both facilities, we don't have no batting cages. So that is something that has been asked from local, tournament directors and all that. So they include all that in their bleachers.
Lighting.
As well, lighting.
lighting.
So
Okay.
extra equipment. Yes, sir.
Not seeing any covered spectator areas. It gets brutally hot in Texas. Any shade is helpful.
Yes, I believe on the.
They've included $120,000 in tension fabric shade structures on here, so.
Kind of like how the youth sports complex has the shade where they sit, kind of pretty similar to the adult sports complex on the shading, because as you mentioned, it does get pretty sunny out there.
So it sounds like a comprehensive proposal.
Yes.
And then the next page will kind of just give a,
Doesn't mention bathrooms in any of this stuff on here, redoing any bathrooms, but not saying it's not in here, but they've itemized a lot of stuff, and I don't see anything in here for any bathroom finish outs. And we know how expensive that can be, because just the sinks alone at the community center were like $10,000 a sink. So
we'll follow up and make sure that's in there.
Thank you.
yeah, I had no idea how expensive those sinks at the community center, like, they just look like a little plastic sink, but I remember they were like over $10,000 a sink.
Okay, we'll follow up.
and then here just gives a revenue of the economic impact of what on the low side, mid, and high.
And this is annually?
Yes.
Or over a 10-year period, or
This one's annually.
annually?
Yes, sir.
Is there like an acceptable return on investment that the city uses? No?
I
So
cannot answer
looking
that.
at this, the payback would be anywhere from 4 to 2 years?
Well, I think they're looking at that as total economic impact. I'm guessing that they're including, not just to the city, but, food and bev and hotel lodging,
Hotel
all that kind of
stays,
stuff.
yes.
The operating income is basically, they're expecting it to lose, about 20 grand a year. Am I seeing that correctly? That this is going to be a net cost to the city to have this of, if we take the middle number, $27,000 a year?
Yep, I would say you're correct,
Yeah, I think
Brian.
that you're reading it correctly, yes, sir.
I would say you're correct. I mean, 27,000 in net cost, yes. Okay. But we'll look into the bathrooms, Brian.
Any allowance for food trucks?
Yes, I'm not too sure if it's in that.
Or concession
Where Brian has,
stands.
he either has concession/food trucks that they do include in there.
Yeah, they had a finish out for food and beverage.
Yes.
Okay.
as well.
And then now we'll go to the youth sports complex, so the ones with 12 fields. So fields 1 through 5 are softball fields, and 6 through 12 are youth baseball fields. And then you can see synthetic turf and facility enhancement, food and beverage, scoreboards, entrance and ticketing. So for the turf and enhancements for the youth sports complex will be about $5.4 million. If we just wanted to focus just on the enhancements only, it'd be a little over $300,000.
So $5.1 million for turf.
Especially if they get the turf.
Basically, yes, sir.
All kinds of turf. Though. That's what kind you get, like the pro players where they have the.
And I know with
turf stuff that bounces.
some companies, the more square foot you do at once, the price just goes down. Because I think on turf, per square foot, it can range anywhere from $13, $14 per square foot. But on their proposed feasibility study, the big one I've got, I think they marked it at $8.50. But just depending on companies who offer the more square footage we do at once, they probably lower the price because we're doing a lot of square feet for them.
So something that we've run into with the splash pads is using contractors from out of state or out of country. And then down the road, it comes back to bite us because we try to get them to do maintenance and
Right.
they just don't get back with us. Who would the contractors, would SFC be the actual contractor, or are they just kind of like the builder's agent? Who actually does the installation of turf? Because 10 years down the road, when stuff settles in Victoria and we've got tears and that kind of stuff, are we going to be going back to SFC, or are we going to be going back to a subcontractor of SFC for that?
Yeah, we haven't determined that yet as to who will install it. So we're still talking to SFC because they do have that ability to install and manage facilities, but we haven't gotten to that stage yet with
So
them.
they're more of like the builder's agent, the planning side of it. They're not going to actually be the people to put this stuff in. They're just getting us estimates.
Yes,
that's
at the
their-
moment, yes.
And speaking with the gentleman who's going to come speak next Tuesday at council, they do have a lot of companies they have worked for, recommendations who they could recommend to us that they've been working with years and got good feedback. So they have good recommendations. So that was one thing that he did mention to us. If we didn't know who to go to, they do got a lot of contacts because as in our first couple pages, they have a lot of facilities all over the country. So they got some good recommendations if we do tend to go that route with them.
On this turf here, sir, does it come with guarantees and warrants where this organization will back up or cover for 10,
Oh.
20, or 30 years for the turf?
Warranty?
Yeah.
I believe so. Most companies and that do this type of work do have warranty on it. I was looking at some companies, I think Symmetry Lines, I think they come with a 25-year warranty. So each company does offer different types of warranty, just depending
And on
on.
this right here, does the city have to get some kind of a special insurance or anything like that for protection of the fields in case of damage or looting or anything like that, or?
Yes, the city does have insurance
Okay.
on its facilities, but the company that installs it also has the warranty.
Okay.
And then talked about earlier, here's are just some future facility opportunities. I think that's where Mr. John was talking about that $40 million indoor facility. I think Jason spoke about a couple months ago, just kind of hinting at it. We do want to elaborate on that $40 million. They do include a family entertainment center. Mimi Jesus looked that over and asked him if we could just, what would it be without it? So that takes about $10 million off. So probably in the range between $30 and $40 million, but without that family entertainment center, it kind of goes down to $30 million, so. And then some potential funding sources, of course, private loans, special districts, you could do community district, we got the improvement of district opportunities, the use of sale tax, the hot funds occupancy tax, the hot funds tax, capital dollars in place. We've been talking about maybe adding a venue tax as well. And of course, other, state and federal fundings, the Victoria EDC. So these could be potential fundings to fund these facilities.
Have they looked also at other grants that may be able to participate with this as well, or?
Yeah, so
Some
there
grants
are,
are 50,
yes, sir.
50%, some 100%.
There's some grants that offer, like you mentioned, I think the CDBG, there's grants such as those that you could use for sports facilities that help build it. Like maybe it's $50,000 for,
Right.
lights or something. So there are grants that could help fund this as well. So we got to
Those-
dig a little bit
Some of
deeper
these
into it.
grants also can come from Health and Human Services, or it could be from the Department of Interior, things like that can come
That's
into
correct.
this.
That's
and help
correct.
out
And
with these.
some grants from TPWD.
Some of them are matching, some are
Yeah, the
just,
Texas Park and Wildlife
Yeah.
Department does offer some
Right.
grants as well.
And you also have foundations out there
exactly.
who support youth health.
Right, exactly.
And
There's-
athletics.
There's a lot out there. for
A
them,
lot,
so-
so
Is there
good
any,
point, Jesse.
and is there any potential monies available through the infrastructure bills?
Potentially, potentially. So we are looking at all options in terms of funding, and that's a conversation we'll have with council even further, is how do we fund this?
Will any of this affect city taxpayers in any way, shape, or form?
Not at this time,
Not this-
because
okay.
we're still trying to figure out how to fund it, so
Okay.
we don't know yet.
It could.
Yeah, it
it's a
could, but-
possibility.
How bad do you want that $40 million indoor facility?
30. 30.
Okay.
I have one other question.
Yes.
What about land? Is there, I know that there was no cost listed. Is there, just an overview, is there land available without
So-
having to purchase any additional?
I'll go back to So number one is a youth sports facility complex.
Yes.
So that one will just retouch on those fields. Number two is the land we own by the city. It's the community center fields. And then number three is where the current adult sports complex is currently.
Okay.
So all the land we already have. If we do want to venture out future down the road, we could possibly look for other land. But for the ones that are proposing for this one, there's no land cost because we already.
So that
have it.
additional acreage, number two, nothing's proposed in that, correct?
For acreage for land?
Well, I'm saying, like, you're not proposing to do anything additional in that number two, or is that where the two additional fields would go?
Yeah, so on number 2 and 3, so the 4 adult fields, we could either do keep the 4 there and do the 2 in number 2.
Okay.
The other 2 fields in number 2, or we just vice versa, or we could do 3 and 3, just depending how you want to even it out. So that extra space in 2 does allow us to add additional fields.
Okay.
And then one thing did want to run by, even this study does not go in depth for the community center and the arena, but we are in works with another firm to do a study on the community center and the arena, how we can enhance that, because as y'all probably know, the arena in there is too small to host any rodeo event, so it's a big space, but just sitting there, I mean, it does host a few things, but it could be better, so we are looking at a study for doing that so we could get some recommendations on how we could proceed with the new arena and any updates, recommendations for the community center as well.
Okay, any more questions?
That was the last slide. Any more questions?
Thank you. Appreciate
Yes,
the,
thank you. It was
Good,
very
very good.
informative.
Yeah, so, thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
So again, the intent is to essentially improve our facilities and make the city more of a destination city when it comes to sports tourism for tournaments and so forth. So this is a great start. So Alex, thank you very much for leading this project.
No problem. And these
So-
are just a couple of examples that they've done for other cities. So this one's in Cedar Point, I think, Sandusky, Ohio, and this one in Kansas. This one should be opening in 2024 in Illinois. And then this is the gentleman who's going to become speaking next Tuesday at the city council.
So, Mr. Edian, when this is presented to city council, what are you asking city council to do? Just think about it?
Yeah,
Or do you
so,
intend to come back to them a month, 2 months, 3 months later?
so really.
How does that work?
So it's pretty much the same thing that we're doing to you now, like, it'll be the same presentation to city council, except it will be done by the consultant, and we're just providing information to council and getting feedback from them.
Okay,
So,
But more of an introduction, getting
right.
feedback. and
just
then we
getting
could
feedback, just like
go
we're
back
getting
to the
feedback
table.
from you now.
There's
like
no
the same-
action item.
Yeah, it'd be like the same format as the master plan that we did before with it. Something
Correct.
like that, similarities.
Yes.
Thank y'all.
thank you.
All right, so next item up is department updates.
Okay, Madam Chair, and congratulations again, and also to Brian Billingsley for being Vice Chair. So I have a quick update with regards to the department. So the very first thing, of course, is the Director of Recruitment. So as you know, Jason Alfaro, the director, our previous director, retired, so I've been serving as the interim. So the position has been advertised nationwide. The executive firm is CPS HR. So if anyone's interested, they just need to submit a resume, cover letter, in a list of 6 references by October 30th. So the deadline is October 30th to submit your resumes for the director position. And I have the website on the screen if anyone's interested in looking at the position. So the hope is to have the director on board by the, hopefully, first of the year.
Have we had a lot of applicants so far?
The position was advertised nationwide Monday. It was essentially yesterday. So from what I'm hearing from the consultant, it's been very positive in terms of people, individuals just looking at the website to see if they're interested. So far, so good. Good feedback so far. So with regards to parks maintenance, we had a storm a couple of weeks ago, so we have a lot of trees down in the parks, especially in Riverside Park. So staff have been very busy removing the falling trees and limbs and so forth. Because of the recent rains that we've had, of course, growing grass, which means we are mowing a lot more. So mowing is in full swing. We also repaired the Lone Tree hike and bike trail. And if you use it, you would have seen a broken sidewalk. It was a fairly large piece that was broken, so we fixed that. So the trail is nice and open. With regards to recreation, so we've started the softball, kickball, and youth baseball leagues. Doing very well. We have 60 teams altogether. Last time I reported, we had 45 teams. We now have 60 teams, so we're doing very well. The youth hunt, this will be our 3rd youth hunt program, and it will be at the Port of Victoria, and it will be November 4th and 5th. And again, that program is to expose kids 9 to 17 years old to the sport of hunting. This is a partnership with the state, TPWD, that's the state, Texas Parks and Wildlife, and again, is to expose kids to the sport of hunting. So it will be at the Port, November 4th and 5th.
Mike, do you know how many kids you're taking this year on the youth hunt?
It'll be 6.
It's still 6.
It's
Okay,
still
good.
6.
Okay.
The Riverside Soccer Complex is very busy. VYSO is in the middle of their season. That's the Victoria Youth Soccer Organization. They have over 600 kids signed up playing soccer. Last year, they had about 500, so the number is getting higher and higher. And that's partially because of the new and improved facilities. Because you have more kids want to play when you have nice facilities. So the complex currently has 13 fields, and we are adding the final field, which is field number 14, and you can see the bottom slide where that field is being built. So the contractor has sprigged the field with Bermuda grass, and we are now watering it, of course, with irrigation. So that field will be playable probably by the next spring. We've made improvements to the golf course driving range. So we built a new concrete cart parking lot. It's just very small, about 10 carts can park there, and that's next to the driving range. Before that, we had a kind of a gravel lot, and so now we just concreted the parking lot. So we've added a second parking lot as well to accommodate customers or more customers, and we've also sprayed the entire golf course with pre-emergent for fall winter weeds. So we've done a good job taking care of the golf course, and the feedback has been very positive with regards to the golf course and the driving range. With the community center, so if you go by the community center today, you will see improved landscaping in the front of the community center. We did host the Texas Municipal League Region 11 meeting this past week, and tomorrow we are hosting the mayor's State of the City address, so you are all welcome to attend. And this picture on the right is an actual picture of what the duck pond looks like now. This picture was taken last week, so the pond is coming along very well. It's beautiful. I don't know if you've driven by it, but we do have some remaining items that because we want to improve the visitor experience. So the remaining items we have is to construct a planter box, a water trough around the gazebo to create a waterfall into the pond. So as you approach the gazebo, you will see a waterfall and beautiful flowers around the gazebo. We also plan to install handrails to the boardwalk or the bridge. Right now, there isn't any handrail, so we think it's not safe. So adding the handrails will make it safer for individuals to walk across the boardwalk. We also plan to demolish the cart shed. If you drive by, you will see that it's half demolished. So the plan is by next week is to demolish it completely and have picnic tables there in the interim. We plan to seal coat and stripe additional parking lots around the duck pond, and that's essentially to essentially add more parking for our customers. So we've heard that that's a need, so we are increasing the number of parking. So we will have 40 dedicated parking spaces at for the duck pond. We also installed LED lights, picnic tables, trees, trash cans, and signage. So all of that hopefully will be done by the end of the year, for sure. So that's a quick update on the duck pond. Yes, sir.
Have we gotten with Texas Parks and Wildlife about stocking the pond?
Yes. So we will start stocking the pond with fish starting the end of October. So in the grant, again, we received a $621,000 grant from Texas Parks and Wildlife to contribute towards the pond redevelopment. So the grant has about $14,000 for us to stock the pond with fish. So we will put the fish in the end of this month.
So Mike, is the duck pond open currently, or did I hear you say, so with all these improvements listed, does that mean the opening is delayed until the end of the year?
The duck pond is not open
'Cause
officially.
I've seen people wandering around the gazebo and just different
Yes,
things, and barricades up, there's barricades around part of it, but not all of it, so.
I know. It's difficult to keep people out of the duck pond because it's so vast. So, but it's not open officially. We still have work to do. So the contractor is working as hard as quickly as possible, but definitely will be done, from what they're telling us, weather permitting, definitely before the end of the year, but sooner rather than later, though. And then we have the dog park. The dog park is almost finished, but we do have some remaining items that we are finishing. One is that we are installing water lines for irrigation, and then also solar lights around the path. So we will have 9 solar lights throughout the park. Also, dog bowl fountains, where dogs can go and drink water after they are done. Also, picnic tables will be installed. We have dog waste stations, and agility equipment will be installed soon. In fact, I want to thank the Drain family, Lori Drain and the family. They have raised about $26,000 towards the purchase of the agility equipment. That's in memory of Easy Drain. We also have a large shade canopy that is coming, and it will be installed by the end of this month. And that's to provide shade, like Mr. Fisk mentioned. It gets really hot here in Victoria during the summer, so we want to make sure that the customers have a shady area to wait. And then finally, we'll have signage as well as the entryway sign, which will have on it Riverside Bark. So that is the update from the Parks Department. Any questions?
Where did the memorial tiles end up, the bricks?
So the bricks will be part of the entrance sign or the entryway sign. So they will be on the columns of the entryway sign. And again, that's partially funded by the money that was raised by the Drain family. So those who contributed, they will have the name of the dogs on the brick, and it will go in the column. So I think about 350 bricks will have names on it.
And tell me again, when do you anticipate that opening?
So we're anticipating opening week before Thanksgiving, but that's that's being very weather and so forth. But if everything goes well, we're hopeful that we could open the week before Thanksgiving.
Does anyone have any more questions for staff or Mike?
I'd just like to comment that I think y'all guys have done a superior job in the last 3 years in what you're doing and coming. And I appreciate the updates you send out every week on what you do on the sports of the complex. And I think it's putting Victoria on the map for a change, more than just a historical town. So the parks have really made a lot of differences in the last few years. Yeah, a lot of improvements, because for the last 50 years, there hasn't been anything done. Not really. So y'all have made a lot of changes. It's going to be great. It's like you said, it's going to be a win-win for the community and the tourism people that come in. And also, I hope you find somebody who comes in with a 21st futuristic mind of how to be clear, not just thinking for the present, but for the future, and where the growth of this year can be. So my hat goes off to y'all.
Very much for the kind words, and we are hopeful that we'll find someone like that. And also, we couldn't have done it without the commission's help. You have done a great job guiding us, so we really appreciate it. And thank you for the support.
It's building up a lot on the gentrification, as you mentioned before, so it's awesome.
Mike, I have one thing that I just want to bring up and see how we move this forward. Something I always ask Jason of, we have all of these things in the master plan. How do I identify, kind of what comes next? We knew that the dog park was something important that we needed to get done. It's awesome to see that, nearing completion. Sometimes in the bureaucracy and the red tape of, committees and city and all that kind of stuff, it takes years. I feel like we've fast-tracked that project, and I'm proud of everybody up here for all of their input, and, Jason and some of the staff that aren't here, they had a huge input behind that. But seeing with what's going on down in Riverside Park with the addition of Riverside Park, with the improvements in the soccer field, with everything that's going on the golf course, something that is a pet project of mine, something that I really want to see happen. And I hear from people all over town, and you mentioned it with, the food trucks, is a food truck park going into Riverside Park. I think we talked about it in the master plan. We have the old community center pad that's there. That's that concrete area right next to the soccer fields, kind of behind the zoo. There's not an area here in Victoria for food trucks to congregate, and that seemed like an ideal spot. It was a low cost, high impact. It wouldn't cost a whole lot to put a food truck park there with the facilities of, maybe some restrooms and some water lines and some power. Where are we at with that? How do we push that forward? I'm happy to take up and champion, that project. I think it's something that would be really beneficial to the city, because there's not really anywhere for people to eat other than the pump house, which if you've just taken your kids to a soccer game and you're all grassy and dirty, you don't want to go eat at a nice, fine dining, type of restaurant. How do we give that back to the community? How do we push that forward? So I need your help. How do we do that?
Well, Brian, I know you've been pushing for this for quite some time, and I'm happy to report that the project is funded. So it is funded for us to,
What fiscal year?
It's in the 24 fiscal year, which starts October 1 of this year.
We already
So-
started. We already
so-
started.
Yep, so it is funded. So the plan, and I will report on that at the next meeting. So the plan is to wait for the VYSO, the soccer season to end. And the soccer season ends at the first week of November. So we will start cleaning the slab that you mentioned, as well as kind of surface or repair where you have holes and so forth. So repair the slab, then stripe it for parking as well as food trucks. So I believe we'll have space for 4 food trucks on the slab. And we will try to bring in water, electricity if we can, but we will start that project probably mid-November.
Do we have renderings of all that stuff?
Yes, we
Okay.
do, and I will show it to you at the next meeting.
You made me a very happy commissioner. Thank you.
Well,
Like,
it's our job. Is
I've
to-
already forgotten about Jason. You're doing a great job. You got me the food truck.
So the project is funded, and we'll begin the project in November.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
That's not all. When is our next meeting? November? Or can you give me a date, please?
November 6th?
Second one.
Second.
fine.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, November 13th. All right, last item on our, as future agenda items. Does anyone have a future agenda item they would like to,
I want to bring up one
for
thing.
next time?
How do we intend to handle the comments regarding Queen City Park?
I am going to meet with staff. and I'll
Okay.
get back to you.
All right.
I think that was brought up in one of the previous council meetings.
It was. I think Laurie said, let's don't allow that to fall from the agenda, so.
And I can, Madam Chair, report on that at the next meeting. But Queen City is one of the neighborhoods that we've targeted for revitalization, and the park is a critical piece of that revitalization. So we have a committee that includes Christ Kitchen staff and neighborhood leaders that are working together to come up with recommendations that
Understand.
includes recommendations for the park in terms of what do the residents see as the future of the park? What do they want to see in the park? So we'll have recommendations to present to you at some point in the near future.
Thank you.
But I can report on that formally at our next meeting.
Okay, so we've got two items, at least two items for next month, and that's the Queen City update and then the food truck area update, as well as everything else that they so generously provide us with. All right, well, if that's it, do I have to call it? Then I call us stand adjourned.